Good evening, everybody from New York. My name is Jay Tahoe, and this is Jay Tahoe's Fabulous Stream, episode number 2. I'm live tonight with my girlfriend, Mary, who is driving currently, so we're having a little bit of a technical difficulty, but I think we'll be all right. Good evening, babe. Hey, are you there? Can you hear me? She is driving right now, so it's we are having a little bit of an audio difficulty. But all right, well, when you can hear me, just let me know. I'm going to start talking about the topics that we're going to talk about tonight. And when you're back with a stable connection, you can introduce yourself. So tonight's stream, we are going to be having callers at the end. We really only have one topic for tonight, and that's height dynamics in society. And I thought this would be a good stream to have because we are one of those couples where we're not the. Oh, hey, do you have stable connection now? Hey, are you able to hear now? The chat is saying we have a bad echo. Yeah,
I can hear you. I've been able to hear you the whole time.
Okay. All right. I think we may have fixed it. Hey guys, are we still getting a bad echo? If someone can comment if we're still having an echo or not.
Bueller.
Yeah, I think we're good. You don't hear the echo anymore, right?
I don't hear an echo, no.
All right, then I think we're good to continue. They'll let us know in the comments if we have an echo. All 6 people who are watching right now. All right, so good evening and welcome to the show. Did you want to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi guys, I'm Mary. I'm Jay's girlfriend. I'm just new to this whole thing with StreamYard. I listened to him give his podcast the other day via StreamYard. That was what, Friday night, Jay?
Thursday night.
Thursday night. I listened to it on Thursday night and seemed pretty interesting. I liked when he took callers. I liked that his parents participated in it. It was a fun time.
Yeah, I would say overall it was a pretty good night, and thanks for all the support and everything in preparation to get ready. We had some good tacos.
Anytime.
Yeah. So I have some really bad news to break to you before we start this show.
Oh no, what is it?
I'm 5'7", so it's over.
Yeah, you know, you're really doomed being a white male and 5'7". It's a struggle. So,
you know, we've been talking about a lot of this black pill stuff recently. You know, you've met a couple of the guys like First and Mike, and you've seen what the black pill is kind of all about. So there's a lot of guys on the internet who've been telling me that, you know, because I'm not a male model tier guy who's taller than 6 feet, that you've actually been cheating on me with a guy named Chad. Now, I want to assure everybody, you know, I've looked everywhere for Chad. I've looked under the bed, you know, I've looked in the car, you know, I've checked everywhere in the closet. I just can't find Chad, so I give up. Where is he?
I just hide him very well. I make sure that the two of you don't commingle. There's never a time when you and Chad are near each other within that, you know, 5-mile radius of each other.
Yeah, so just so everybody who's listening is clear, I'm getting cucked big time for Chad every day.
Yes.
All right, but in all seriousness, right? You know, me being 5'7", quote unquote, you know, manlit, and you are 5. Well, you'd say what, 5'9 3/4?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we just say 5'10", but really, you know, it's about 90th percentile female height. So you would definitely qualify as a quote unquote tall girl.
Yes.
So I wanted to make the topic of tonight's stream, you know, height dynamics in society, societal expectations, what it's kind of been like for both of us, like in life and everything. Height insecurity for short men, possibly height insecurity for tall women,
Yes.
and just kind of what we've both experienced. And once we're done, then we'll go to callers. Sound good?
Sounds good.
So, being the height that you are, right? What's been your experience, throughout life? And I'm not just talking just in dating and everything. Take us back to the beginning. What's it been like? Has it had any impact? Has it changed things for you? What's your perspective?
Well, I didn't really become taller than my peers until after puberty. Prior to that, I was always average height. I never really stood out from the crowd. I think I shared with you today some baby pictures and pictures from my childhood, and I wasn't any taller or any different from anyone else. The only thing that really made me stand out was my red hair. So I'm kind
You
of
are the
used
beacon.
to, I am the beacon. I'm kind of used to standing out because of my hair color, but the height dynamic was a completely different thing for me that I didn't experience until I was about 14 or 15. And then it was like, oh, wow, that girl's really tall.
I see. So what was that experience like? Did like people ever say anything to you about it? Was it nothing really people noticed? How did that all work?
Yeah, I think most people noticed it. I got a lot of positive reinforcement for it when I was younger. I was thin, and people always said to me, wow, with your height, and your long legs, like you should be a model. So I always kind of got, positive reinforcement from it.
And I would have to agree with them. In before someone in the chat calls me a simp, but I'd agree with them.
Well, you're being cuckolded anyway, so.
Exactly. Let's see. White Computer Power says, just date a tall redhead, bro. Well, that's what I did, so yeah. He also said, just volleyball, Max. Just for the record, did you ever play volleyball or basketball?
I played basketball when I was younger, never played volleyball. I'm not much of an athlete. I think you've seen that firsthand.
Yep. And simp. Yeah, we know this. So anyway, yeah, I mean, we haven't really, played many sports. I mean, we've been to the gym. We've been out for a run once or twice, but nothing too crazy.
Some kayaking, nothing too labor intensive.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and actually paddle boarding was fun too.
Yes.
But all right. Well, so that's what it's been like for you. What about like in dating?
Dating, it's definitely been more challenging. Dating, I've witnessed guys being insecure about their own height and not wanting to date the tall girl. So I've actually had people ask me on the dating app, like, are you really 5'10"? I actually had someone tell me once, you'd really be perfect if you were about 3 inches shorter. I was like, oh, thank you. That was the end of that. Friendship, relationship, what have you. So, yeah, dating's been a little bit more interesting compared to, everyday life with friends and school and work. So, yeah, dating's definitely been different. More negative attention to my height than positive.
Let's see. So here, actually, we have a good question about this. White Computer Power says, has she ever dated a shorter guy besides Jay?
I have not. I dated someone who was 6'2" and who was very insecure about my height and did not want me to wear high heels ever in his presence. And I dated someone who was 5'10" and we were about the same height, but he too was insecure about it and did not want me in any type of heel. In the fall, if I wore boots and I was a little bit taller than him, he would go, get his Timberlands and he'd put those on. So we'd be, eye level again. It's like challenge accepted.
Whereas I'm just like, yeah, wear what you want. You look good. So
Yeah, you don't pressure me one way or the other.
yeah, I don't really care if you're taller than me. We go out. It's crazy too, because like, I've dated people who are taller than me before, and I've gotten like, the stares from like people when we go out in public. But you and me, we really don't get that when we go out.
Right.
So I don't know if it's just like the dynamic or what it is, but like we've avoided being like that quote unquote like weird looking couple,
Yeah, I don't think we've shown that it bothers us. So I think other people kind of let us set the tone for that. And they see that we're not uncomfortable with it. And I think that they don't make anything awkward with it.
Yeah, I think so too. Liptical has a question for you. Mary, was there ever a time your height stopped you from getting with a guy you wanted to get with?
Not really, no. I mean, I'm sure that there were other factors for me not getting with the guy I wanted to get with. I don't think it had to do with my height, no.
Fair. All right. So, and guys, if you have questions too, like once we're done, we will be taking calls after we go over the topic. So, but good questions. So, I would say for me, little bit of a opposite scenario. Admittedly, yeah. I'm kind of insecure about my height. Being 5'7" as a guy, although not brutal, right? Because I do know some guys who are like 5'5" or 5'4". It's still rough. You're still going to hear about it, and you're still going to be, reminded about it every now and again with a joke. It was pretty bad for me when I was a kid. It became notable that I was going to be short probably around 6th grade, I would say. And you know how kids are around that time. So I was hearing about it all the time. And on top of it, I was like rail thin at that age. So, it kind of like, and people in black pill say it all the time, right? That a lot of your personality derives from, how you're treated. That affects, your confidence and everything. So, I found it hard to be confident. Now, a lot of people, have heard, my story. Like I knew my height was a problem at a young age. So probably around 15, I got really heavily involved into weightlifting. And I'm trying to see. I got to figure out with StreamYard like how to like share a picture on the screen and everything. Because I want to show everybody like what like my like late high school, early 20s. I was really low body fat percentage, had 6-pack abs.
Please share the mullet photo.
Oh,
That's my favorite.
Yeah. Oh, the one. You mean the one where when I was still really skinny and had a mullet? And I'm
yes.
throwing the
Please
baseball.
share that one. Yes.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how to like. There is a screen share option. I just don't want to like go into Facebook and have them see people's like names and stuff.
Right.
I wonder if I can hold on. Let me go into Facebook real quick. If I can go
What
back.
if you just change your avatar?
Oh, to that picture?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could, but that's pretty small. Hold on. I'm going into Facebook now. Let me see if I can pull that picture up. Because I would love to like show everybody like a before and after. I'm gonna look for the picture as I tell the story. So anyway, when I was a freshman in high school, I was both short, probably about 5'5", because I hadn't finished growing, and about 120 pounds. So I was rail thin, and I got teased for being really skinny, really short, and it didn't feel good. So I was like, you know what, like, I'm going to get into good shape. Like, I might as well, right? There's nothing better to do. And I went, it was intense. Like throughout high school, I was, at the gym every day, probably like 2 hours. I was also running like 3 to 5 miles because I did track and cross country, to keep low body fat. So I went on this really intense workout regimen. And I was also eating like 3,500 calories daily. By the time senior year rolled around, I'd say I'd put on at least like 45 pounds in muscle. And, I was, bench pressing 250 pounds. So I started getting a lot of attention from like, girls who didn't look my way a couple of years ago. I'm still, mind you, I'm still short because I was 5'8" senior year when they measured me in high school. I have shrunk a little bit because I have some back issues, but still short. But anyway, I started getting a lot of compliments about like my body and how I looked and everything. And it kind of, so I kind of like developed a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, it went to my head for a little bit, but I still felt short. I was still like, yeah, like if I just had height, everything would be great. But I guess we kind of realized like there's always that one thing that you wish you had, right? Like you might have a good face and you can work hard and get a good body, but I'm like, oh, but I wish I was 6 feet tall. But,
I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish
I was a baller. Low key, I wish I do though, because then we'd have a lot of money. But Jay, how old is Mary and how old are you? Good question. You want to answer that?
You never ask a woman her age.
Yeah, we'll just say we're both in our early 30s.
Yes.
We don't want to say the exact numbers. But yeah. So yeah, I had some insecurity around my height. I still do, honestly. I remember a couple months ago I told you I was considering limb lengthening.
Yes.
So what's your opinion on that?
On limb lengthening or on you getting limb lengthening?
I would say both.
Okay. I think for certain people who have a height that's at such a disadvantage that it would be functional for them to get limb lengthening surgery, it may not be terrible. I think for you personally, it would be strictly cosmetic. So you could be 5'10" or 5'11", and to me, I don't really see a point to it for you specifically, but I don't discredit it if someone is really at a disadvantage and they could quote unquote be like normal from a limb lengthening surgery and it might actually like positively impact their life. I don't discount it.
Right, because and you know what? I'm glad you said that because, like, I remember we had my parents on last week, and they were like, "No, nobody should get surgery." But like, you got to consider if a guy's like 5'3" or 5'4", they're in a really different boat than I'm at 5'7", right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there's a famous there's a YouTuber. His name is Pygmy. There's another guy. His name's 5'4" Manlet or The Truth Hurts, and they're 5'3" and 5'4". And the guy who's actually 5'4" supposedly has like a 7.5 face. Like he has a really good like jawline and great face, but he still is pretty much shot down every single time after asking out like 100 women, strictly based on his height. Like we can agree that it's his height at that point, right?
Yes. More likely than not, it would be his height, would be my guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So for someone like him, you would advise surgery?
I'm not sure, because when I said with the height, I meant it in a way like, how people who have, dwarfism or something like that, like I was thinking more like a strong like medical condition that it could really change their whole life in terms of being able to drive a car without having all these adaptations needed, and like it would make things easier. Someone who's 5'4" is shorter, but they're not, I mean, yeah, maybe when it comes to dating they're at a disadvantage, but other than that, like they're not really at a disadvantage in my mind anyway. But again, I say this from a female perspective, number one, and I say this number two as a perspective from someone who's tall. Like I could tell you, I don't think it's all that it's cracked up to be. Yeah, I can reach the top shelf, but how many times am I in your apartment and I crack my head on something because because I'm too tall, you know, like the ceiling fan could take me out at any given moment. So
You mean you don't want to go for a spin?
I don't want to go for a twirl.
Yeah, I mean that's I guess in before I'm gonna say like it's great. Yeah, it's great being short, guys. I don't get hit by a fan, so you guys can start spamming your cope comments now. I think I told you about hope, cope, and rope.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, like it's good because like I'm short enough that I could rope from the fan.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. So as long as you have a game plan, game over.
Exactly. So anyway, but back to the topic. So the surgery. So yeah, so you can see, right? Like you've seen like all these dating profiles that say like don't message me unless you're 6 feet tall and everything, right? Like we agree that happens.
Yes.
So it's if you're a guy who's 5'4" or 5'5", even at 5'8", right? Like or 5'7", I still don't get responded to a lot. Like back before I met you and everything, and I was on those apps, it would be
I was gonna say, do you have something to tell me? Forget Chad. Is there Stacy involved?
Everybody would be like, yeah, as if I'm talking to Stacy. But anyway, let's see what Liptical said here. Ask Mary to imagine you, then imagine you a head shorter than you currently are. Then ask her how her attraction to you is affected by the shortening.
A head shorter than you currently are. So is he headless? Is he limbless? What are we getting at? Or he's just like 5 inches shorter?
I think I'm like a true midget now, so I'm like, like 5'2", 5'1".
Well, in order to be considered a dwarf, you have to be under 4'11", I believe.
Yeah, I think that's.
I don't think you would be considered a dwarf. I do think it would be a little awkward because you would probably be up to my chest. I mean, take that however you want to interpret it, but do I think that it would really change things? Not really. Maybe initially, like before I got to know you, but if you were suddenly in some type of like horrific accident and you were suddenly 5 or 6 inches shorter, no, it wouldn't be a deal breaker.
Okay, cool. White Computer Power says, how short is too short?
How short is too short for me being 5'10" to date someone, like right off the bat from a dating app, say?
Yeah, I think that's what he said.
Okay. I would say too short is probably like 5'2", 5'3". It's a little bit of a struggle at that point.
Yeah, which at that point, I mean, that's an extreme outlier.
Yeah.
Like that's, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like those guys, they have it rough because you're in the bottom 20% at that point. It's like bottom 10%.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But you and I had this conversation the other night, and I said to you, I'm like, honestly, if I felt a connection with someone, like someone that I knew in person, I don't think liar, but I don't think it would be a deterrent. And just like it hasn't been a deterrent for one of my good female friends who's dated guys, in various heights. She's dated 5'3", she's dated, 6'2", 5'11", and she is also tall. Maybe not quite my height, but I'd say she's about 5'8". Right, Jay? What would you say?
Yeah, the person you're talking about, I'd say she's about 5'8". She's like just barely taller than me when she's not wearing heels.
Yeah. So, and for her, she's dated every size. So I don't think that it's a factor for her either.
Yeah, and in wide ranges of looks too. Some were good looking and some not so much.
Right.
So it's interesting because like while I do by and large agree with the black pill, I do think there is some great there's like some of it is just greatly exaggerated too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But I don't want to say that, that looks don't matter at all. I think we can agree there.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't consider myself blue-pilled. I don't think that looks don't matter at all. You have to be physically attracted to the person in order to want to date them. You can't be repulsed by someone. If you're repulsed by them, there's not going to be any chemistry there. What's going to happen?
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, they basically, like, they have to, like, meet like a minimum threshold to be attractive. Because if you view somebody as ugly, it's you might have a great meeting of minds, you might have great conversation, but at that point, I think you'd just be really good friends.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, to date somebody, you need to there needs to be sexual attraction too.
Absolutely.
Elliptical wants to know, ask Mary how her friend met the very short guys, the 5'3" guys, etc. I bet they met IRL through friend groups and not dating apps. Well, actually, I know the answer to that one, but if you want to tell the story, go right ahead.
Yeah, they actually met on a dating app. She pretty much exclusively dates through a dating app. Every once in a while, she'll go out with someone from her friend group, but for the most part, it's through a dating app. Same thing with me. I always dated from dating apps.
Yeah, that's how we met. In case anybody's wondering, Bumble, right?
Yeah, we want that sponsorship.
Exactly. So Bumble, if you're listening, yeah. So anyway, Elliptical goes, this is bullshit. I'm leaving. Oh wow. Okay. Well, apparently you're lying. Anyway, so moving on. So there's this stigma in society, right? That the man has to be tall, or he's not really, he's not really a man, and like, has Jay ever dated Stacy, and has Mary ever dated Chad? Well, I wouldn't say the 6'2" guy you were with was Chad, and I wouldn't say that Lauren was Stacy. So, no.
Can you hear me? It says I'm having trouble connecting.
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Okay. I definitely never dated Chad. Maybe hooked up with a Chad, but definitely did not date a Chad.
Yeah. Oh, actually, tell that. So the Chad that you hooked up with, right, a few years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, he wasn't even tall. He just was like facially attractive, right?
Facially attractive, yes. He was 5'6".
Yeah. So he was a Chadlet.
He was a Chadlet, yes. He was a Chad. Yeah. He was a Chad light.
Yeah, he was, and I've seen it. He definitely was more facially attractive than me, self-admitted. So.
I don't agree with that, but okay.
I thought he was because look, I'm pretty secure about everything, right? Like I can give another man a compliment and be like, yeah, that guy's better looking than me.
Yeah, no, I don't think so, but what do they say? Love is blind.
You know what they say, love is blind.
I'm 5'7", and girls pretend I don't exist. Okay, I mean, I could see that being a possibility. Do you have a good face?
Nano Chad.
Did they comment?
He said nano Chad, like a tiny Chad. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, if you're Chad light, I could see it being a problem because there are women who are very height driven, but I don't think that every woman's like that. I think eventually you might meet someone depending on, where you're located, because I think that's a factor as well. Certain areas of the country are very focused on a person's looks and other areas not so much.
Right, like we're here in New York where things are very superficial, or somewhere like California, which is where First is from.
California would be brutal. California would be brutal for someone who's 5'7", would be my imagination, because California, you have Hollywood, you have plastic surgery, you have, there's a lot of emphasis placed on a person's, physical appearance. So I could see why that would be challenging. I also think it would be challenging to be 5'7" and try to date in New York City. I could see that being a problem. But in terms of other areas of the country, like, I don't know where you're from, but unless the majority of men are like really, tall Nordic looking men, I don't see it being an issue for every single female.
Actually, a few of the people in our audience are actually from Europe.
Okay.
Minikin is from a European country, so there probably are a lot of really tall Nordic-looking men around.
Okay, so then, yeah, I could see why that would be very intimidating and why women would choose that over someone who's 5'7".
Yeah.
What were you telling me about that other stream with the girl who like tries too hard, but there's a male version of that, right?
Yeah, we were watching Jessica X, and she was talking about Pygmies.
Pygmy. That's it. Yep.
And the male version of that is a simp. You know what I am.
I mean, I wouldn't say you necessarily really go above and beyond with anything that would make me be like, yes, I need to pick you. It was more so I was attracted to your face, and then when I met you, I was attracted to your personality as well.
Okay. All right, let's see. Mary, how many of your friends have dated chubby fat guys? Not super fat, but just chubby, and how tall were they, etc.?
Everybody loves a dad bod, so I would say majority of my friends have dated and or married someone with a dad bod, like someone who has like a little bit of a belly, not someone who's obese, but a little bit of a belly. Like that's the go-to. The dad bod is what's in.
I can vouch for that too, because we're obviously in the same social circle, and a lot of our friends, are they're married to like these guys who they're not fat, but like they definitely have like a little belly and aren't in like the best shape, but I wouldn't say that they're fat.
Right.
Liptical wants to know if Mary's friends would rage him or date. Oh, they want to know if they would date him. I mean, it's possible.
It's possible. I don't know what you look like.
So yeah, give us your stats, bro.
Yeah, give a physical description, maybe.
And Mike says, Mary, how much more romantic would Jay become if he learned how to sing, dance, and play the guitar? Jay, how much more romantic would Mary become if she learned how to sing, dance, and play the guitar? You want to take that one first?
I love Jay with all my heart, but homeboy can't dance.
No, it's really bad. And if I drink, I think I can dance when I drink, and it's not good.
What does your friend call it? White dad at a barbecue?
Yeah. So actually, funny story. I in 2014, I went on this cruise to Mexico with two of my friends, and I got wasted this one night, and my friend found me dancing with like a bunch of like 50-year-old women. Like they had like a disco night where they were playing like all like music from like the 70s and whatnot. And my friend comes in and she finds me and she goes, I don't remember much of this, by the way, because I was hammered out of my mind. But she goes, you were dancing with like these like 50-year-old women. And she's like, let me tell you, you cannot dance. You dance like a white dad at a barbecue. And I was like, oh boy. I actually just remember waking up in like the cabin, like watching the ship on the TV, trying to relax and lose the hangover. Liptical wants to know, can you send her a picture of me? Yeah, actually, like we can, Liptical, if you want to voice chat in Discord after this, we can share photos. So yeah, we can. Liptical is 6'3", by the way. He's just he's got some excess body fat, you could say.
Okay.
But we can share pictures after the show.
Sounds good.
But yeah, so society has this. I feel we're getting a little too far off topic, so let me just kind of bring the stream back to where we were going with this.
Okay.
So society has like this expectation that like the man is the tall one, and and if he's not really a man. And there's a lot of these guys who go, because I'm in management in my company, and I've been on streams where they're like, well, tall guys get picked for all the promotions, and it is true. It is true that like 60% of CEOs are taller than 6 feet tall. So it is a disproportional number. There is data to back that up. However, I've been in management in multiple jobs. I really do think that that's as a result of the way I carry myself, because after I got in shape and got a good body, I really did, gain a lot more confidence. I still am insecure about my height, just so everybody's clear. But I've sort of made peace with it. I'm like, hey, listen, like I do have a lot of other good attributes. I mean, I have a good job. I speak 3 languages. I'm not in the best shape right now because I've been, working on a lot of things. If I lose 10, 15 pounds, I can easily, get back there. But my point being is that, like, the short thing, while it sucks, like it's not, I see a lot of people in the Discords who are like, well, I'm 5'9", I'm 5'8". It's over for me. But like, there are a lot of people who it's like, you got to really be introspective. It's like, did you try hard? A lot of people go, well, I tried the gym. Did you go to the gym for, a month and, you lost 5 pounds and that was it? Or was it 3 years of hard work, 2 hours a day, every day? I'm not saying this to like the guy who's like 5'4" or 5'3", but the guys who I see in the Discord who are like 5'8", 5'9", and screaming about it's over. Like, I don't really have empathy for you, man. Like unless you're like, recessed chin, balding, your face is asymmetrical. Like there are, my point being is that like, sometimes some of the people have a legitimate case to their incelldom, and some of them you have not tried hard enough. So that's because if I do think, had I not done that, had I not put that intensity into working out, I don't think I would have ever I don't think I would get promoted into management jobs often. I don't think that my dating life would have been what it was. I don't think there is something to the psychology. It's not, while looks are important, you do need to have that confidence too. And actually, when I ran track too, I wasn't like the best, but I was definitely like top 5, on my team. And like, keep in mind, everybody talks about like Chad always wins. But like when you win the race against, I'd won a race against a taller guy. I'd outlifted a taller guy. So, naturally, like, I'd be like, okay, well, that guy's got height, but I have, I can win, the race, or I can, bench press more. And, you feel good about that. So that, for me, gave me a reason to be confident, whether I'm misplaced or not. I'm not saying that, like, every woman would choose me over a taller guy, because that's obviously not true. But I'm saying, like, it's been good, and I felt better about myself. And you know what? Like, we talked about the limb lengthening because I felt that was the one thing missing in my life. But you know what? I've decided that I don't need it. I don't want it anymore, because I'm going to live life how I am. Everything has been okay. Like, yeah, you guys got to realize, like, when you play a video game, right? Like, are you really happy with like winning the game on easy mode or normal mode? Like, yeah, you have something, that makes life harder for you, and like when you succeed, it's kind of more satisfying, like beating the game on hard mode. And mind you, like, I don't consider it a YouTuber. That's not life on hard mode. Like, being born in like a third world country and starving and not knowing where your next meal is coming from, that's true hard mode. But I'm not going to deny that being short as a man definitely does make life more difficult. But that's what we do. We rise up.
No pun intended.
Here, I just wanted to call this one out. Elliptical says, you are saying you don't want limb lengthening because Mary said she is fine with your height. No, that is not the case. I would not, if Mary and I broke up tomorrow, I would not get limb lengthening surgery. So just so we're clear about that.
I think Jay and I both value each other's input with things, but ultimately we decide what works best for us. We'll hear the other party out, but then we decide what works for us. I think we're both pretty stubborn and have an independent streak that it really wouldn't sway our decision one way or the other.
Right, exactly. That's, whereas, because like for a while I was just like, yeah, life would just be so much better if I was taller. But like, you do that, and then what do you want to get next? What do I want to do next? Like, as you know, I get called out for negative console tilt, and my nose is also slightly crooked because when I was a kid, I got into a fight, and a kid threw a golf ball at my nose when I was 12, and it's slightly off center. But I've come to peace with that too. I just want to read this. Do you see this comment right here?
The real question is, has Mary ever thought about leg shortening surgery? Definitely not. I love my legs.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be a womanlet. That would actually be a sin because you have great legs.
Thank you.
So, yeah, no, I'm not going to go with no. All right, so we're 40 minutes into the stream, guys. I'm going to go ahead and actually post the link into Discord, and we're going to start taking callers in just a few moments for anyone who wants to get on. In the meantime, do you have any final thoughts to add to that?
I do not. I am ready for questions.
Actually, you know what we're gonna do? I'm gonna post the link into Discord for the StreamYard. Do you want to I would actually love to hear, and we're probably gonna do a separate stream on this. But what is your opinion of black?
I didn't hear you. What was it?
I was asking, as I get ready to bring in callers, what is your opinion of black pill?
I don't know all that much about it. I know a little bit about, what you've told me, but I don't think that, life is quite as doom and gloom as people perceive it to be. But I'm also realistic.
Okay.
Does that answer the question, or is that too vague?
I mean, I think we get the gist of it. I think my takeaway from that is that you're saying looks do matter. A lot of not just looks, right? Like IQ, genetic potential does matter, but it's not everything.
Right.
Yeah, and pretty much like that's where I'm at too. I know like a lot of times you got to realize when we're talking, I say like a lot of the black pill arguments I make to you are to play devil's advocate. I'm actually somewhere in the middle.
Okay. Yeah, I do think you just enjoy trying to, get a rise from me sometimes.
Not even like try to get a rise, just because I do see the truth in it. Because I'm like, for Zoomers, we're kind of us being millennials. We pioneered the internet, right? We were the first to have social media, so we were the first to kind of be impacted by apex fallacy, which is what we talked about, on last week's stream. Mm-hmm. We were the first to kind of like see our friends' success and see people with really attractive people and think that everyone's life must be like that. But the Zoomers, that it's greatly accelerated because they were born with smartphone in hand. So it's kind of like, it's only going to get more superficial, and like women are, really going to want like really just the top guys. So I do acknowledge that that's true. It was kind of bad for us, but it's getting worse.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like I had shared with you previously, when doing a Zoom meeting with high school students, and I asked them to share 10 qualities that they liked about themselves, 7 or 8 out of those qualities had to do with physical appearance. And I was just like, okay, was it wasn't the point I was going for here, but all right, good to know. Thank you for your input, children.
Yeah, so it's getting more superficial, but all right. We're gonna start taking callers now. Elliptical says he's going to black pill you, so I'm gonna go ahead and bring him into the show.
All right.
Yo. Hello.
We
Can you
can
hear me?
hear
Hello. Right. So basically, people talk about black pill, and they talk about it being just about attracting women or the opposite sex, right? But what the black pill actually is it affects every single part of your life. What it's saying is that your looks don't just affect how you attract the opposite sex, but it actually affects your entire life. So your success in getting a job could be dependent on how you look. And what studies actually found is that the uglier you are, the more success you have with low-end jobs, and the better looking you are, you have less success with low-end jobs, but higher success with high-end jobs. And what I'm trying to tell you is that it's not just about attracting the opposite sex. The black pill is basically saying that your entire life is determined by your genetics and your upbringing, how you were brought up, the type of food you ate when you were younger. That can affect. If you chew hard foods when you're younger, your jaw develops more, and obviously a more developed jaw leads to better looks and therefore a better life. And one of the key points of the black pill is something called the halo effect. And what the halo effect is, it states that the better looking you are, objectively, because beauty can be objectified, the better looking you are, the more people perceive you as smarter, more attractive, more confident, right? So do this thought experiment in your mind. Imagine someone who is ugly and now they've got a receding chin, they're balding, and they're very short. Now, imagine someone who is good looking, they're tall, they've got that Hollywood face, right? Now, which one do you think is more confident, is more successful, just in your mind? Or you can look up a picture, it might help. But what you find is, nearly everyone would say, I think the better looking person is more confident, more attractive. And that is what the halo effect is. You might think, oh, but that's just the truth, right? Or some people will be like, oh, but that's just how it is. Yeah, that isn't the case. It's actually subconscious. And the reason that people think, oh, that's just how it is because it's subconscious and they can't help it. And this is what a lot of people don't realize, is that most of the things they do in their life are subconscious and they can't help it. And they don't even realize they're subconscious because they're like, oh, it's just how it is. When in reality, it's these processes in your brain that cause you to do these certain things. And this branches out to every single other part of the black pill. It's all of these subconscious processes that people aren't recognizing that they're doing in their daily lives that affect their daily lives. For example, how women are subconsciously attracted to taller men. Yeah. So you might think you're not attracted to taller men, and you might not be so much as another woman might be. But that's because your brain is wired differently. You have different genetics, and those different genetics can wire your brain to not be so attracted to taller men, right? Whereas the majority of women,
my brain's really wired differently. I think I've always been attracted to tall men. I don't think that that's
right. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, but you said that you're very attracted to Tahoe and you don't mind his height, right? Well, most women wouldn't date a shorter guy. They say, oh yeah, I would, but most really wouldn't. The guys that are shorter than them. It could be other factors such as you find his face attractive and his personality, right? But yeah, and that's why I'm saying your brain's wired differently, because quite a lot of women would see he's shorter than them and then just disregard him completely, right? And that's why this guy in the chat earlier was saying, oh, he's 5'7", women don't even see him. It's because the way it works is, the moment that someone sees a person, they, in 0.3 seconds, they judge that person's face. There is a part of the brain, like a specific part of the brain, which is simply meant for judging people's faces. And that's it, nothing else, right? So within 0.3 seconds of seeing someone, you judge their face. And as we discussed earlier with the halo effect, how you look affects how people perceive your personality. So you might, so if we explain that, right? God, I've got off topic. I forgot what I was saying.
Halo effect.
Yeah. Before that, I was using Halo effect. I was using it to prove something else. I forgot. This is why I'm Spurg though. Hello.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah. I forgot what I was saying.
So what is your point, Elliptical?
Oh, I was just trying to blackpill her and show her that oh yeah, that's it. So basically, it's subconscious. You can't help it. You know, when women say, "Oh, I don't know what I like," right? Or they'll say, "Oh no, I'm not attracted to taller guys. I like all guys," right? They might think that, but subconsciously they aren't. And most women don't realize that. So they're saying all these things. I don't mind these guys being short. I don't mind him having worse looks. But what you find is, if you look at the men they actually date, they're normally more attractive or they're taller. These kinds of things, because it's subconscious, you can't help it. And I think what the black pill is actually saying is that most of
I'm having trouble connecting. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. I think what the black pill is actually getting at is that most of a person's life is actually determined by subconscious processes in the brain, right? And how not having friends when you're growing. Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah, and not, like for example, not having friends when you're younger can cause parts of the brain to not develop properly. Like so, parts of your brain might not develop properly, and that affects your entire life, right? Whereas most people would say, "Oh, your life is simply how much effort you put into it," when in reality, the black people would say, "No, it isn't, and your life is determined by your genetics and your upbringing and that kind of thing."
So, Elliptical, I want to ask you something that's how do you explain the outliers, right? What are the people who are short or not good looking, who are successful and have good dating lives? What do you think it is that they have done differently?
Well, let's look at the types of eras these people grew up in when they got married. On average, this is my assumptions, but I would say most of those people who are shorter and have a wife, etc., or they're successful, those probably happened quite a long time ago, like 10 years ago, before Tinder really blew up and that kind of thing. Because as we know, before Tinder blew up, the dating scene was a lot easier, and people didn't, people weren't exposed to all of these sort of good-looking people as much. But being successful in business, etc., that kind of thing, I wouldn't say it actually relates to how you look, right?
I mean, I wouldn't say Tim Cook is, in the chat. I would say he's pretty much a low-tier normie at best.
Right.
Let me find a picture of Tim Cook, because now I got Tim Cook on the brain. I wonder what he looked like when. Yeah, Tim Cook is kind of ugly, to be honest.
Yeah. So the way that we explain to people is we simply say they are exceptions, right? But that that might seem like a cop out, but what it really is it's probably the culmination of lots of luck when they were younger. Perhaps they made quite a big friend group, and from that friend group when they were younger, and a good upbringing, perhaps better education, those kinds of things. They were able to form. They were able to network more, and their social skills developed a lot. And then they kept growing, right? So yeah, they probably had this really good base when they were younger. And even if they didn't have that, say that they were abused when they were younger, because some celebrities claim that, I was abused when I was younger, but I managed to get out of it, and now I'm here, right? What that is in reality is it's probably they experienced those things, and from those things, it hardened them, and then everything else that they did didn't seem as hard. And having a support network of social support network of friends going through those kinds of things, you like thug max is basically all it is. Thug maxing is a cope for a bad upbringing, and it's a really good one, because what it does is it provides a support structure, and from that support structure you can max, for example, like rap max or like that kind of thing, and you have a massive network of friends, and they can help you to get a job, for example, and that kind of thing. from a big network of friends, you can pretty much get anything, and that's why having a social circle is one of the most important things. And for a lot of people nowadays, if you look at Zoomers, they aren't forming those social circles. And if you want to be successful in life, you need a big social circle. For example, if you want to meet in real life, because people say, "Oh, there's a police car." Oh, okay, good thing. They're not going with me.
We have a guest joining us, so I'm going to bring Bina into the stream.
Okay, bye.
No, elliptical. You can stay on. I'm just bringing the next. I'm bringing another guest. And just finish your point. You can stay. We like you. Don't worry. Bina, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, we're good.
Can everybody hear me or no?
Can you guys hear her?
Yeah, we can hear her. Well, what is she doing here?
What am I
Where does she
doing
come
here?
from?
I'm a part of the shore.
Yes,
Where
we
did
can
you come
hear
from?
you.
So let's let Elliptical finish his point, and then we'll all respond. Okay.
Right. So when you're younger, if you aren't able to form a social circle because of, for example, perhaps your parents weren't able to help you with that, like, you know, or you were too ugly, or you didn't start puberty soon enough. If you're not able to form a support structure of friends when you're younger, or any kind of large network, it's basically over for you unless you have good looks, right? And yeah, that's my opinion. Yeah, it's pretty badly formed at the end, but it is fairly late, and I'm not very. I don't talk about this often in like an educated way. So
Say, isn't it 2:00 in the morning there?
yes, it's pretty brutal, to be honest. I'm like standing next to my window, speaking out the window, so my family can't hear me because I'll wake them up otherwise.
So to sum up your point, Elliptical, because I think Bina just joined now, so I want to like bring her up to speed.
Right.
What you're saying?
I'll give a conclusion. Yeah. So basically, what the black pill is actually saying is that your life is controlled by factors outside of your control to a high degree. And people don't recognize this because it's mostly subconscious in your brain. And that's what I think the black pill is really getting at. I would say that's void pilled. That's a void pill, is that your life is controlled by factors outside of your control, and it's all subconscious. And we are animals that like to think we have free will. Yeah.
All right.
That's the void pill.
There it is. All right. Who wants to take this one? Do either you guys have a response for Elliptical? He's saying we're animals and we're driven by animalistic instincts.
Yeah, it's all subconscious.
And yes,
I mean, my comment to that would be,
I think we lost you.
Yeah, you're cutting out.
I think we lost her. Hold on, something popped up in the private chat here. Can you hear me? No, we can't. All right. Yeah, that's not going in the stream. Okay. Yeah, please refrain from that language, or I will boot
Jay,
you.
can you hear me or no?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Wow, that's really mature.
Yeah.
Cry about it.
You're one more of those away from being booted, so let's try.
I won't say it. Bro,
Yeah.
Cry about it.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna boot you. So goodbye, Elliptical. All right. All right. So I booted him because he was using very inappropriate language in the chat. So all right. So actually, Bina, have you been watching the whole show, or did you just join now?
I just tuned in. I just listened to what he had to say.
Yeah, he definitely broke
tendencies,
yeah, his animalistic tendencies got him flushed from the show. So anyway, all right. So Bina, do you have any points you want to make on?
What?
All right.
I'm sorry. Did you guys hear me? I'm not sure what's going on.
Yeah, no, we can hear you now. can hear you now. So yeah, guys, we kicked elliptical. Does anybody, if we have anybody else who wants to call in, if not, Bina, do you want to give us a quick introduction?
Sure. My name is Bina. I'm not sure what else you guys want me to say on this.
Well, these boys were getting very upset because they believe that someone who is, 5'8", 5'9", 5'10" wouldn't give them the time of day because they're, 5'7" and below. They don't factor in their personalities or their facial structures or their racist comments when they interact with people. They're just basing it on height.
Well, that's not true. I mean, I can totally see why the guy who got booted off couldn't get a girl. I mean, I wouldn't date him. But, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. And it's more than height. And, I mean, if you're basing it all on height, you're very insecure. And I'm sorry to hear that. Please get a therapist.
Right, I agree with you. And they were talking about what they call black pill. And essentially what they were saying is your life is predetermined, it's fixed, there's nothing that can be changed, your upbringing and like the food that you eat and your socioeconomics, that it's all predetermined and that nothing's going to change. So if you were born into, I guess, a lower income family and mom and dad aren't attractive and you don't eat nutrient rich foods, basically you're doomed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess you don't believe in free will, and then what would you say, to people who have been born and raised in a low income household and then happen to get, further in life than people who actually have had a lot of opportunity? Is that not a change, or what is that?
I think that they would argue that those people are outliers and that that's the exception, not the rule.
Which that is, and I do agree with that though. People, like, if you're born into a bad situation, your chances of getting out of it, I do agree there that is a pretty low chance. Because like we do talk about people, who come from a bad upbringing or a bad financial situation, and they become good at business or a pro athlete. But again, we gotta take into account reality that most of the time that is the exception, not the rule. I think we can all agree to that, right?
Yeah.
But I also think that there are people who were given every single opportunity and every single chance in the world, and they blew it too.
There is that too, yeah, for sure. But that's where there's a saying, right, that hard work picks up where talent leaves off. So, and you see this in professional sports, right? You see some people who are born with great genetic talent, who are able to play sports professionally, and they, may or may not, to say that they didn't train hard, but some of them, they could have done it given their genetic potential. Then there's people who really had no business being there. Like they were born, they weren't fast or they weren't that strong, but they trained a lot harder than the person born with the God-given talent, and they're still both on an even playing field now. So if you can be born with a lot of talent, you can be born with a lot of looks, but if you don't capitalize on it, it's not, you can be defeated by somebody, with lesser potential than you. That's that is true. You do see that. So that's saying I do think that that's true. And I do have a guest backstage, so I'm going to bring him into the show too.
Okay.
Nice.
Let's see here. Mike, good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Glad to be on the show.
Yes, glad to have you back. Do you have a response to any of that?
I would like to say, do the women know that there is such thing as a pink pill?
So we talked about pink pill, right? Briefly,
Yes.
Yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about the pink pill and femcells?
Well, I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Ladies first.
From what I gathered from it, it's women who are so unattractive that they've given up, that they feel as though no one will want them. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay.
It can go a bit deeper depending on like which faction, because it's like the same, they have like different factions, same way Black Pill has different factions. Like you have the guys that do the looks maxing, and then you have the guys that just, you know, complain on forums all day. So you can get deeper.
I mean, I think that regardless of someone's looks, I think, you know, you can try to work with what you have. I mean, yeah, are you going to get picked on because you're less attractive than your peers? Sure. Are you going to get less dates? Possibly, yeah. But do I think that no one is ever going to have any interest in you? I don't think that that's fair either.
That's a bit extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can get extreme over here. If you haven't,
we saw that, yeah.
Apparently. Yeah.
It goes from 0 to 100 real quick.
It does.
real
Postload.
quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all. That's just the question I called to ask.
No.
So do women that are so ugly that nobody would ever want them exist? I say no.
No,
I say
I would say. I mean, I could pull up a couple pictures, but everybody would throw up because they'd have.
That's not nice. That's not nice.
No, I mean,
why would you?
because they would have. Oh wait, I'm not, because they would have cystic fibromatosis, I think that's called. It's where you have like these like cysts all over you. So I could like what? That's like rare outliers. So I'm not. It's not like a regular girl.
We're talking about like that. You're talking about something that's extremely rare.
Yeah.
Like I would say,
Yeah.
you know, the point where you're not going to be able to get a date, or like, you know, you'll be passed up by 99% of the people. That's if you're like a burn victim, or you know,
something like that.
Big scar across your face. I think Mary dropped. Oh, I think she just broke up with me. I need to rope now. But no, her connection probably dropped. But yeah, I'd say that's an extreme. That again is an extreme outlier.
With that being said, there's a guy that has that condition, and he's a father. So it's like, when people will love who they love, you know, it's like okay, if that guy can do it, you know, why can't these guys? Like, that is a valid criticism, and these guys never really talk about that.
Yeah. So what's Bina? Do you want to take that one?
I mean, I think it's really extreme to even. I don't know. It's a bit much. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure what to say about this. I mean, considering really ugly people, I think everyone's really ugly to someone. And I mean, we don't have to have cysts on our face or, you know, one eye. So, I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know. I think we're all on that same boat.
You know,
like that. Like nobody's like somebody's gonna be like, no, that person's not for me. Like no matter how attractive they are, there's always gonna be somebody that says no. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
You and I have talked about this, you know, Mike, in Discord and everything. Like one thing that the Black Pill gets extremely wrong is subjectivity. Because I agree that there's a point where somebody's looks are below a certain threshold that most people are going to see them as unattractive. And then there's, you know, when you're above a certain point, most people are going to view you as attractive. But if you fall under a normal bell curve distribution, as most things do, right? Like height and weight and everything under the sun, that means that 68% of the population is going to be, you know, like normal looking, right? Like your typical 5 or 6. You're going to be average or high average or low average. Meaning, and that pretty much like people I've gotten all kinds of reactions to my face in the Discord. Some guys are like, "You're a Chad," you know, like it doesn't matter if you're short. And then some people are like, "You have a negative Conthal filter, and you're hideous, and you're coping." But I've gotten the same. That's been reactions from women too. I get some women, you know, throughout my life who are like, "Oh wow, you're really handsome. You have beautiful eyes." And then others who look at me like I'm trash. So I don't take it personally. It's just like, so, you know, if most people are normal, and when you're normal, some people are gonna find you really attractive, and others are gonna find you not attractive.
Yeah, you said it right on the nail. Most of those guys in the Discord, they're in between like a 4 and a 6, or like somewhere around there. But they all act like they're like deformed, like they have. It's ridiculous.
We have seen that, and I wish one of them would come on the show to talk about that, because there's a guy who's 6 feet tall with blue eyes and a good face, and he's claiming that it's his looks that are the reason he can't get it. Because don't get me wrong, there are some people I've seen who are not so good looking, and I agree that like the looks are definitely hurting them, and it is a big part of their issue. There's some people in this community who are actually probably objectively good looking, who are claiming that it's their looks that are the reason they can't get a date. And like, I want to call out that BS right now.
Yeah, it's not their trash personality.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a comment on looks. So when we talk about somebody having trash looks, it also depends on how well they're taking care of themselves. So I've seen some people who are like a 3 in my eyes, and they could fix themselves up to a 7 or 8 if they took a shower, if they shaved, you know, if they wore clothes that fit them. So, I mean, when we're talking about ugly people, are we talking about people who are just a whole bunch of mess? Or are we talking about individuals who have features that, like, most wouldn't like?
Well, we're talking.
You can't just like separate them too, because it's like you don't want to separate. I mean, you can, but it's not accurate to just separate.
Well, it doesn't have to be accurate. I mean, it's relative.
Relative to what?
To each individual. What I find attractive, another girl might find disgusting. Maybe I like big noses. Maybe she doesn't.
Yeah, and it's like when you like, I've been around, you know, I've grown up with a bunch of female friends, and like they'll talk about, you know, some will be like, well, let's take a bunch of stereotypical Hollywood actor chads, right? Like Leonardo DiCaprio when he was younger, of course, because he hasn't aged well. Leonardo DiCaprio or Brad Pitt and Channing Tatum, and one woman will be like, "Wow, Channing Tatum, he's so hot," you know, and the other girl will be like, you know, Channing Tatum doesn't really do it for me, but Brad Pitt, you know, he's amazing.
Right, so different facial features.
It would be kind of hard but like that 3 and 7, that's like a big range. That's a big difference. So, some girls are gonna be like, "Oh, he's like somewhat attractive," or like he's okay, and some girls would be like, "Oh, he's hot."
Here's where I agree with the black pill is if you are 5'5" and you have a receded chin and you're balding, it's the majority are gonna find you not attractive. If you're 6 feet tall and you have a strong chin and hunter eyes, the majority are probably gonna find you attractive. But the one, like, there's subjectivity, usually a few points. Like I might say that a girl is a 5, and my friend goes, nah, bro, she's a 7. It's the same thing. Because again, from my experience, I've had some women who are really into me, and some who just flat out ignored me and were like, nah, the looks are the issue. So there is subjectivity. That's what I think the black pill does get wrong. Is it's binary. It's either you're attractive or not. You may be attracted to some and not others. And there's also niche things like, for example, beards. Some
bald
women have
men.
Right. And so that's actually a big thing in the black pill. Let's talk about bald guys, because it's, bald, if you don't have hair, it's over, right? Like we hear that all the time. So let's talk about baldness.
I mean,
some guys
some
can
women are
rock it, bro.
Go, Mary, go ahead. You go first. Some women are attracted to bald guys, okay, right? Because we've got guys like Jason Statham and The Rock. Then again, they also they have great facial features. What about like the average bald guy, like a guy who's like a 5 out of 10, but he's balding?
But what about Vin Diesel? I don't think he has any incredible facial features, but he's bald and women go bananas for him too.
Isn't he like? He's also built and takes care of himself.
And has money.
But the built and takes care of himself thing, that's a controllable, right? Because we gotta talk about the difference between controllables and non-controllables.
Okay.
But that is a good point. Vin Diesel does take care of himself. We have a lot of people who are going, yeah, oh yeah, taking care of yourself doesn't. In fact, I'm going to pull up a feed. Let's analyze Vin Diesel. I'm going to pull up Vin Diesel. He is okay. Vin Diesel is 6 feet tall. He's bald. He has a really long forehead. Hunter eyes. He's got kind of a long nose. His chin is not recessed, but it's also not pronounced. And he's got some
He's normal, basically.
Yeah, but women's.
I'd say he's normal. His face is normal, but like he's probably like maybe a higher tier normal because he's tall and stays in shape or whatever.
That's what I would say. Like he's like he's not that his face is maybe like a 5 out of 10. Like I would say.
Yeah.
He's like he's a normal guy, but he is bald. But he is bald. He is very.
I don't.
Hey, hello. But he's in a plane.
So
Somebody
the
just
guy
hopped
next to
in the
me is
plane.
driving a compensator.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That's actually speaking of compensator. Let's talk about the dick pill. I actually would love to get some input on this.
What's that?
How much?
I'm actually confused on what that is too.
That's how much does dick size matter?
Oh, okay.
Is that
Let's just go there. We've touched on everything else. We might as well.
the size matters? Who's disagreeing with you on this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody's going to disagree on that one.
Mike, does size matter, Mike?
Hey, Mike, she's asking you. Does
Oh,
size
I didn't hear. I didn't hear. What did she say?
I said does size matter?
Girls definitely view size as matter.
Okay. Now, as a man,
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have like this talk where, I don't know. Don't judge me, but like, yo, bro, my dick is big. It's not. And if it's wow, like so well endowed, is it something that really gasses you up? Like, is this a conversation?
Like I can't hear you. What did you? I just heard something about gassing up. Say it again, please.
No, it's okay. Do you guys talk about, having intimate, like being intimate with women, and when you do get positive feedback, is it something that really gasses you up? Like, do you guys really have like this table side talk? Like, I know women, when we have sexual, encounters with men, whether that be in a relationship or something casual, we usually talk about it. Do you guys talk about it too?
I don't. We don't get into details. That's a bit feminine to get really into the details about our personal sex lives. No, I don't think we do that.
So what's feminine about getting into details? That's quite
Is
interesting.
I'm not sure because I guess it's probably like I don't know. It's so feeling. I don't know. It's just weird. I wouldn't do that.
So what do you talk about in the locker room?
Oh, we just keep it at we banged so and so, and that's about it.
So that's gossip. That would be feminine. No?
Sure, why not?
She's got you there.
I think there's like a limit. I think there's still like a limit. Like obviously, if a guy is like a human being, but you don't want to get to that level where you're just sort of spilling your guts to a bunch of other guys. I think that it's a bit weird.
No, I mean, you see, that exactly is the problem. you have a group of people who are raised, especially to think that it's not okay to discuss your feelings, and then you get into a relationship with women and don't know how to discuss your feelings because all of a sudden it's feminine to have emotions. It's not. It's human.
Yeah, I agree to a point.
And
Like
what's that?
I agree to a point where it's like, okay, you want to be open with your partner and stuff like that, but there's also like, you know, I would say, just be cool. I don't know. Like I say, just find a balance. Like not super overly emotional, not super reserved.
I don't know. That just doesn't sit right with me. Be overly emotional or to be cool. I don't even know what cool means.
So I do want to say this on this. I'm going to cut in real quick. There's still, how we talked about like society has this expectation earlier, right? That the man is going to be the taller one. I do also feel that society has this expectation that that men are expected to keep to kind of keep it inside, right? Keep their emotions inside. Like if they're upset, like it's kind of seen viewed as weak if a guy lets his emotions out, and like whether it's right or wrong, that's obviously a subject of debate, but it's still like it's kind of like if you show it, you're gonna be viewed as weak. So that's where I'm coming from.
I understand, but I mean, I think it's weaker to hold off because you're obviously scared that showing it might have a negative reaction. So it's like a hurt to one's ego, it's a blow, whatever you want to call it. So I would view that as weaker. I think it takes a lot of strength for any individual to come through and say, you know what, this is how I am feeling, especially in a romantic relationship, anywhere, in any situation. To be bold is to really have strength and have that, like that grounding energy. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what how it helps to be cool or to be reserved or to just say a few things and to have a limit. And I can't show her I like her that much, and I can't tell her that I was that hurt. I don't know. I don't see the use of it. Apparently some people do, and I think the use is to preserve your own ego.
I thought it was about with your mates, your guy friends.
Oh, it could be your mates and guy friends too. I mean, like, if you have a good guy friend and you're talking to them and say you're depressed, and you're saying, you know what, let me not tell my best guy friend I'm that depressed. He might think I'm too feminine. Why am I hurting over that? Like, why? Like, what's the point
I
of that?
mean, it's like I haven't experienced that, but like I don't know. It's just like that's okay. Like I don't see why that wouldn't be okay. But like if a guy is like trying to think, like I don't know if it. I guess it's not. I guess it would be like how he's communicating his feelings. That would be kind of weird. I guess if he was communicating it in a more like bro-ish kind of way, that would make it would be more acceptable among men. But like I guess with like women or whatever, like you're like a man and a romantic partner with a woman, it would probably be more it'd be in a different way expressed. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I don't, because I feel like there are two very intimate relationships. You have a bro and then you have a girlfriend. Two very intimate relationships. I would like express myself to my boyfriend like I do my best friend. If I can't cry to my best friend, what's the point? If I can't cry to my boyfriend, what's the point? Where am I putting the limit?
Where are you putting
So
the limit?
I did want to call out one of the comments here, and I don't mean to interrupt. Sigi says women have the luxury of showing their emotions. That was kind of the point I was making earlier. Is that like like as society in general, I still think even though men and women are viewed as equal and everything, from a legal standpoint,
Right.
there is sort of that if a guy is seen as quote unquote like a crybaby, it's a negative stigma for him. That's where I'm coming from. But anyway, back to your point.
I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead. I don't know if you were finishing up your. point there?
No, I was done.
You were done.
I didn't think it was, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It also depends on the girl and what she's willing to really accept. I do know some girls who are like, you know what, I don't like to see my man cry. I do know some women like that. So, you know, I got to give it to, you know, some of you guys who are reserved with your emotions. There are women who find that attractive. Me personally, I do not. I think you're going to be human. I want you to be human. I want you to express your emotions.
Well, no one wants to feel like they're dating a robot. You know what I mean? I think that men have this bravado about them where they have to be stronger, they have to be the protector, and I think that's where that whole like height thing comes in. But I think that showing your emotions isn't necessarily a sign of weakness. I mean, if a guy's crying every single day, that would be a problem, just like if a female was crying every single day. However, I think there, you know, there's a time and a place for things. I mean, if I went to a funeral with Jay and it was a close family member that passed away and he didn't shed a single tear, I would be a little concerned.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it obvious. I don't think anybody's going to get crap for crying at a funeral. I mean, that's, you know, we all cry at funerals. But I'm saying, like, you know, something bad happened, or, you know, life isn't going well, and a guy cries. He's probably going to catch crap for it. And hey, you know what? Maybe a really secure guy will not care what anybody has to say.
Right.
But that's, you know. All right, we have time for one more guest. I do want to keep this to around the hour and a half mark. While I open up the lines, does anybody have any topic we might have missed or anything they'd like to say? I'm looking for one more guest.
I don't know if maybe, you know, it'd be nice to hear some expectations from a guy's perspective of what they expect from a relationship and a woman in general. I don't know if anyone wants to answer that or if your guest wants to answer that. I don't know. I'd like to know.
Mike, what are your expectations for a woman? Yeah.
I'd like to hear that from women. Expectations for women.
Well, I think she asked you first, so why don't you tell her first, and then we'll let them go, because I'm actually curious on that one too. Yeah.
Okay. Let me think. Expectations. Just that the girl be, you know, romantic and genuinely attracted, and just, you know, happy to be in a relationship with the person. That's what I would think. Like you two. I don't think it's too complicated. You like each other, you love each other, whatever. There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's plenty complicated.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. See, this is where we get the girl's perspective.
Can't have things be boring now.
You can't ever be too simple.
Yeah, no, we keep things interesting.
Yeah. All right. Why don't we so Bina or Mary, why don't you guys tell us what are your expectations in a guy?
Mary, would you like to go?
Sure, why not? I mean, it is my boyfriend's podcast. Expectations in a guy, I would hope someone would have similar morals and values to myself. I would hope that they would have a similar sense of humor and our personalities would mesh well. And, you know, not to forget about, you know, black pill or red pill, whatever, but we would be physically attracted to each other. So that's a big factor. And I also think that respect is a very important component that a lot of people don't mention. Yep. I think that respect for yourself and respect for your partner, you know, setting healthy boundaries and being able to appreciate when someone gives their time. I think that those are, you know, very important aspects. Bina, what about you?
Oh, what you said, one thing I would love, I really do expect, is somebody who is really, I guess, open to change. You know, sometimes we get very comfortable in the honeymoon stage, or when we're talking to somebody, we think this is supposed to be for. But you know, finding an individual who able to flow with that change and able to really ride that wave with you, and you know, do the necessary things to really make themselves a better person while you are too, I think that's beautiful, and I expect that.
So people evolving.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Because what's the alternative to evolving? You're just gonna die. You know, if you're not growing and evolving, you're gonna die.
I'd rather have you as my plan. You're just there. You're not gonna do.
Then it's LDAR, lay down and rot.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah, I don't think anybody else wants to come on. So I am going to end the stream in a few minutes. So why don't we go around, everybody give your closing thoughts, and we'll call it a night.
No.
Nothing to leave us with.
I ran out of jokes the first 5 minutes.
I also forgot with your expectations of a guy that, you know, he's Chad. So. But yeah. All right. Well, Mike, thanks for being on the show tonight, man.
And for being
Thanks
respectful.
You're welcome.
Thanks, man. Respectful, yeah.
You're welcome.
All right. Bina, final thoughts?
Well, a little bit.
Oh, I think we lost her.
Yeah.
Lost her.
Well, there you go. That was her final thought. Was that?
She was like, "Good night, y'all."
Yeah. Oh wait, she's trying to come back in. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me add her back to the stream. Bina, we lost you.
Sorry. I
Yeah,
hope
we lost you.
something from everyone's comment. That's all.
All right. Cool. Babe, final thoughts?
I think final thoughts would be overall looks are important, but they're not the end all be all. And I'm sure your black pill community will say this is BS and they're signing out, but that's how I feel. And I've been in, you know, a healthy relationship for a year and a half now, a year and 6 months. And I'd like to know, you know, what's the longest relationship they've been in.
Exactly.
Well, a lot of guys, it's a lot of guys in that community. It's none, but a lot of them, you know, some I do think that some have a legitimate case because of the looks. Because the younger people, we talked about this, especially the younger people. That generation has gotten really, really superficial because they were born with smartphone in hand. So I do understand that if you know you're 5'5" and you don't have the best face and you're a Zoomer, it's a completely different, you know, experience than what we had. You know, they kind of only really look at the most attractive people. So I do want to take into account, you know, that reality. And yeah, if you're, you know, even if you're our age or even our parents' age, right? If you're, you know, really in like that bottom of the barrel in looks, like I can't deny that makes things harder for you. I just, you got to do the best with the hand you are given. I don't know, like I do think if you are the guy who's 5'3" with a bad face, at that I would advise surgery at that point, because I don't think we should tell that person just be themselves. That's my point. But for the who are, if it's not that bad, you're normal looking, you got to be introspective and then really ask yourself, like, hey, did I really try hard? Did I really do the work? Did I really, did I go to the gym? Is my career in order? It should be different advice for different people, because everybody's different. We're talking about human beings, not problems.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, I'm sorry. Were you trying to say something?
I was going to say, I think there is, I guess there should be a noted difference between a guy who's 5'4" and white versus a guy that's like 5'4" and Asian, or some group of people where their average height is 5'4", so that's like normal for them. So like if somebody's like, if the average height is like 6 foot or 6'1" in Europe, and the guy's 5'4", then that's like a really big, indication that he has some type of medical issue versus an immigrant that comes to Europe or wherever, and they're short, but that's like normal for them to be short. And they're thinking, they'll come here and they'll think that there's something wrong with them when there's nothing wrong with them, or something like that.
Right. There's like a big discrepancy.
Your location affects a lot of it. Yeah. I mean, I think that's true too. If you're an immigrant in a foreign land, your ethnicity can either work for or against you, because you have to take into account where you are. You go to a place where if you're a 5'4" and you happen to be Asian, and you go somewhere like the Netherlands where the average male is like 6'1", it's going to be a brutal experience. Yeah.
So that was my closing thought.
Recess Bone said females don't want to let us express emotions and tell about our struggles as incels.
Let's address that one. Yeah, I think we should address that before we go. So let's respond to that.
I mean, I think Bina and I both are perfect examples of saying that we want people to express their emotions.
Right.
I think it would be easier sometimes if people did express their emotions and we could see their perspective, where they were coming from, instead of, name calling or bashing. If they were able to explain to us, what was going on with them, I think that we would be receptive and we would listen.
Absolutely. I don't feel like you're in the right relationship if you feel like your partner is holding back or you're holding back. So just something to think about. And if you're repeatedly going after people who are making you feel like you have to tone yourself down, then that sounds like a pattern to me.
Well, I think the incels don't have relationships to begin with. I don't think that they have women who are interested in them. However, with that being said, I'm sure that they can still have female friends and female family members that they could talk to about their struggles and, how they're feeling.
That's quite interesting that you bring that up. I know we spoke about men who feel like they can't really express their emotions in a romantic relationship with women or with their best friends, their bros. But what about the female women in your life that you're close to, like your grandmothers and your mothers? How do you feel about that? Do you gravitate more towards your fathers? And if your fathers aren't present and your mother is playing a dual role, how do you handle that then? Do you look at her differently? Is she less feminine? Is she more masculine because she's actually taking care of the house? I just find that quite interesting.
Yeah, so recessed bones, I think there you have it. Like, you actually have two women right here who would hear you out. If you want to come on, we can stick around for a couple minutes here.
Would love to hear your point of view.
Definitely.
He'll come on and it'll be like a 10-hour stream.
Jay will not allow that. He's very good at keeping time management.
Yeah, this isn't MGTOW dictionary.
Also, talking about a lot, but I've noticed, like, in the dating game, the two extremes of the dating pool have the same common issues. I mean, you have guys who are the 5'3", who have those quote unquote ugly facial features, who aren't getting girls. And then you have these men who reportedly are 10s, who are so insecure and they can't keep a relationship because they feel like every girl who's after them might think that, oh, well, he's a player. I feel like it's a curse on both ends, though. It's like that happy medium. So I would gladly go for somebody who's like 5'6" and has an amazing personality versus somebody who's like a 10 who's like so insecure. So I think the height is not even the worst thing in the whole entire world. There's some people who have it all.
It could just it's also the fact that, you know, if a guy is a 10, the girls won't see him like trustworthy.
Right.
Like not like, you know what I'm saying? Because he's charming or whatever.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
yet you have some babe, you know, I don't want to. Do you care if we share an anecdote about one of your exes? Maybe change the name.
Sure, go for it.
So we would agree that the guy that you dated that was 6'2" was objectively, facially not very good looking, right?
Yes.
Like below average in looks for sure. And yet,
In every aspect, yes.
yeah, there was another area he was below average in too, but we won't go into that. And yet he, you know, he was not faithful, right?
Correct.
And he actually had multiple women that he had on the side, despite being not good looking at all.
Correct.
Now, I know everybody in, you know, who's watching this can immediately point to, you know, oh, he's 6'2", he's 6'2", but yeah, like he's a guy. If I were to post his face in a Discord, which I'm not going to, but you guys would be like, no, that guy's an incel. You're coping. So how do we explain people like that? I mean, he really was not good looking, and I'm not just saying that because I don't like your ex. Like we've all seen it. Like, and we're like, yeah, we can say objectively he was not a good looking dude.
Right.
The guys here are face blind and they have autism. Like they can't see if a person looks like mean or they can't see a personality through a face, basically. And they can't read other people's minds. So and I don't know, it's just weird. Like they can't. They're seeing like something totally different than everybody else.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that because people who have autism can still read facial expressions. They may not understand, you know, every component. They might struggle a little bit with sarcasm, but
A little bit.
They can still see when someone's happy to see them or when someone, you know, is disappointed or, you know, someone's mad at them. Like it's not
from what I've seen.
I mean, I work with adults and children with autism, so
I was just say, let Mike, not to cut you off, but yeah, she is an expert in the subject matter because her degree and area and profession do involve these, you know, people with autism and other disorders. So yeah,
that's good because I've only had experience with these like specific ones online in this area. So what would you say is like the difference between these autistics and like the ones you work with or the people you work with? I don't want to be like mean like that. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't refer to anyone as autistics. I would say a person with autism.
Yeah.
You know,
person diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, right?
Yeah, person diagnosed with ASD.
Autism, ASD, yes.
And I wouldn't necessarily say that everyone who tunes in or partakes in these discussions has autism. I think sometimes people use that, they throw that around as an umbrella term to explain people who struggle socially. They don't have the best social skills. Do I think that every single one of the people that have commented on the chats here have autism? No, I don't. I think that would be a gross generalization to say that. And the same thing applies to Discord, in my opinion. Ooh. I think that these are people who may not you know, be very social. They may not, you know, run with a large circle of friends. They may even struggle to make friends. But I wouldn't, you know, throw the word autism around willy-nilly like that.
Mike, how are you going to call them the autistics? Like, where did you learn that?
Because that's what we call them here.
And where's here?
In this Black pill community.
Discord's the Wild West, so it gets a little.
It gets more than a little.
Wow.
Like it gets. it's like people are like super like mean here. Like just and it's from the outside looking in, it's like I just joined like the server like that this connected to. Like I just only joined like a couple days ago because like I was with some other people that were like just basically doing something else, but not associated with necessarily like incel chat room topics or whatever. But you know, you just look and it's like people drop subhuman all the time. Like people just call each other out of their names like 24/7, 365 all day.
That must be such like it must take a hit to your self-esteem at some point because I mean you're bringing it out in normal conversation, which to me I'm a little taken back because I used to play Xbox and I was all like Call of Duty and you know I've seen what people write and I've heard what they say during these games. Not once have I ever like said that in my normal daily conversation. You must be on it a lot or you must really feel like that's like a community to be a part of to really because I don't know. I mean, I assume you're educated. I assume you're in school. If not, you graduated or plan on going. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. So,
A bit much.
so it just, I mean, I guess I don't know. It's just you.
I would
That's
say
just
that
the
my
lingo. I don't know.
let me chime in on that. So yeah, like when I go on Discord, I know it's going to be the Wild West. It's like how so you know you've been on Xbox Live, Bina, so you know how things get. You're going to hear things that are extremely negative. But my thing with Discord is like I hear people out. I state my case, because some of it like there's grains of truth in with the BS. But I'm also like, my issue, I guess, with the Discord sometimes is it can become a really bad echo chamber. Like,
Yeah.
that's the only thing. Like, nobody really, like, it's just like a bunch of agreement. Like, yeah, this, everything sucks. Cause there's some really cool guys in the community. And then there's other ones who just take it like to that level where it doesn't need to go.
Absolutely. I think a lot of the time it's people who are looking for that community where they can just kind of and some can remain anonymous while still having that community and others can just be themselves and find a group of people to unleash with. So I'm not sure, how I don't think it's healthy whatsoever. I've been on Discord a few times and that's because of Reddit and even the Reddit community in general. I love it. But at the same time, there's just so many unhealthy individuals who are giving advice on things that that they have no
Reddit can be brutal too.
Sorry?
Reddit can be brutal too.
It is. But Reddit is like really brutal. I mean, you have to watch posts and you have to make sure that you have some thick skin because any sort of advice you're getting, they don't care. And why should they? It's an anonymous forum.
Right. No, I agree. All right, guys. I think that's going to be it for tonight. We are going on 2 hours here.
2 days.
Yeah. But hey, thanks for jumping on, everybody. It was definitely great to get the perspective. We're definitely going to do more shows. These are, I had fun. I learned a lot. So yeah, let's we'll do this again sometime.
Thanks, Jay.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Jay.
Thanks.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.